When we talk about conics, there are four shapes: circles, parabolas, ellipses, hyperbola. Okay, and these equations that you see are the standard form. But depending on your textbook or school teacher, parabola can be represented as this way, where you have something square on the left side, and then everything else is on the right side that's not being square, and it's represented as 4p or 4a. Or you could have just y or x is equal to whatever everything else is on the right side. Okay, it's all the same. If you solve for x here, it's gonna be like, oops, like that. And if you solve for y here, it's gonna be like that. Okay, so it doesn't really matter which one you use, but I'm just gonna stick with the first one here. Okay, so my standard form will be something square on the left side, either x something or y being squared here, and then everything else is on the right side. So let's just do that. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to change everything into standard form. Okay, so I'm just gonna number these. Call this number 1, number 2, 3, and 4. So let's change first one into standard form. These are general forms, by the way. So when you look at number 1, it's x being squared, y being squared, and the coefficient for both of them are same. Okay, even the signs are same, they're both positive. Then it's going to be a circle. Don't worry about that right now. So I'll show you how to change that to standard form here. Let me just copy that first. X squared plus y squared plus 16x minus 22y minus 20 is equal to 0. So let's work on this. So all the x's I like to put it together, and all the y's I like to put it together. They're both squares, so they both stay on the left side. So x squared plus 16x, and then I'm gonna leave some space because I'm gonna complete the square. Plus y squared minus 22y, and then move that constant to the right side by adding it. Before you complete the square, make sure that the coefficient for x squared or y squared is both 1. Okay, so I'm going to complete the square here now, since it's 1. Divide this by 2, which is 8, and then square that. Okay, if I add that, I have to add the same amount on the right side. Divide this by 2, which is 11, negative 11, square that will be plus 121. So I'm going to add 121 on my right side. Okay, so this first term becomes x plus 8, the whole thing squared, plus that's going to be y minus 11, the whole thing squared, is equal to, that's 84, that's going to be 205. So this is the standard form of a circle here. Let's move on to number 2. Number 2 says we got x squared minus 2x, and then you see how only x is being squared here, okay, but not y. So I'm going to put everything else to the right side now. I'm going to add 8y to my right side and then add 7. Okay, so that became that. Okay, I'm going to get rid of this now. So let's focus on this now. Since x is the only variable that's being squared here, now I'm going to complete the square. So x squared minus 2x, I need to add divided by 2, which is negative 1, then square that, add 1. If I added 1, I have to add 1 as well. So if I add 1 to 7, it's going to be 8. So this becomes x minus 1, the whole thing squared. Now I need to factor whatever the coefficient here as well. So 8 times y plus 1, like that. Okay, so this is a standard form of a parabola now. That's going to be 4p, which I'm going to explain in another video. Now, number 3, it says 4x squared plus 24x, and we got y squared as well. So I'm going to add 25y squared minus 50y, and then move 39 to the right side now. Okay, so let's work on this now. They're both square, so it's not a parabola, but then the coefficient for x squared and y squared are different, and they're both pluses. That means it's going to be ellipse. So I'm going to factor 4 out for these guys. I'm going to factor 25 out for y's. So 4 factored out, it's going to be x squared plus 6x, leave some space, plus 25 factored out, y squared minus 2y, leave some space, is equal to 39. Now divide this by 2, which is 3, and then square that. So I'm going to add 9, but I did not add 9, I added 4 times 9. So you got to be careful, you have to add 4 times 9. So 36 on the right side. Over here, I need to divide negative 2 by 1. I mean 2, it's going to be negative 1, square that, positive 1. But I did not add 1, I added 25 times 1. So I have to add 25 times 1, which is 25. Okay, now that becomes 4 times x what? Plus 3 whole thing square, plus 25y minus 1 the whole thing square is going to equal to, all of that is 100. Okay, now standard form of ellipse, if these coefficients are different, if they're the same, it's going to be what? Circle, right? So you could just leave it like that if it's the same, or you could just divide it by whatever that coefficient. But if it's not a circle, then you need to make that 1, the constant 1. So I'm going to divide everything by 100 now. All the terms by 100, like that. Okay, so on my right side, it's going to be 1. And the denominator for the first guy is going to be 25. So x plus 3 squared over 25 plus y minus 1 whole thing squared. That's going to be what? 4, right? 4. So this is a standard form of an ellipse. Let's go to the next one. The next one says 9x squared. And then I'm going to put x's together. So I'm going to minus 18x, put it right next to it. And then minus 16y squared plus 32y. And then I'm going to add 151 to the right side now, 151. Now when you look at it, they're both squared, so it's not a parabola. And the numbers are different, as well as signs are different. So it's going to be hyperbola. All right, let's work on this now. You do the same thing. It's the same thing all over again. Okay, so I need to factor 9 out before I complete the square. So minus 2x, leave some space. I need to minus, factor out negative 16. Whatever this is, you need to factor that out. Negative 16 out, so it's going to be y squared minus 2y, because negative 16 times negative 2y will get you plus 32y. Leave some space. It's going to be 151. Okay, same thing again. Negative 2, you need to divide it by 2, which is negative 1. Square that, plus 1. But we didn't add 1. We added 9 times 1, so I'm going to add 9. Different color. Divided by 2, which is negative 1. Square that, plus 1. But we did not add 1. We added negative 16 times 1, which is negative 16. That's how you got to be careful. Okay, whatever you factored out, you need to multiply to the same thing on the right side. Okay, alrighty. So this becomes 9 times x minus 1, the whole thing square, minus 16 times y minus 1, the whole thing square, is going to equal to 144. Okay, now again, I need to divide it by 144 to make it 1. So 144 everywhere. Not all the time, most of the time, that number will become that denominator, and that number will become that denominator. Okay, so you could check it by 144 divided by 9 will get you 16. So it's going to be x minus 1, the whole thing squared, over 16, because 9 goes into 144 16 times, minus y minus 1, the whole thing squared, over 144 divided by 16 will get you 16 goes into 144 9 times. So that becomes 9 is equal to 1. So this is a standard form of hyperbola.